Hello, the Pioneer viewers. We continue to bring you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. In a moment, we will convey the latest developments regarding the war to you with a map. According to the latest reports, the mobility in the Kherson region, which has been active in recent days, has decreased slightly. However, as you will remember from previous reports, this calmness usually brings great developments behind it. On the Zaporizhia front line, intense Ukrainian attacks continue. We see that the Ukrainian troops continue their offensive operations in the Robotyne section of the Zaporizhia front line. There is partial progress in some areas. However, some units of the Ukrainian troops were shifted to the Donetsk front line, where the attacks intensified. For this reason, the Ukrainian advance has slowed down a little. So what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's analyze the developments together. As the Pioneer, we continue to bring you developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the video. Let's start if you're ready. Let's start by analyzing the latest developments on the Zaporizhia front line. We mentioned at the beginning of our report the activity of the Ukrainian army on the Robotyne line of the Zaporizhia front line is very intense. In particular, Ukrainian artillery units are launching heavy attacks on the Russian positions. According to the latest reports, these attacks are concentrated in the direction of Nestroyanka. Ukrainian troops are trying to advance in this area. Russian armed forces in this region began to withdraw from some of the positions they occupied. In a short time, we can say that the Ukrainian army has achieved a very critical success. Not only the Nestroyanka direction, at the same time, there is an intensive effort of the Ukrainian army to advance in the direction of the Marine and Novoprokopivka. From this point of view, we can say that the Ukrainian army is trying to expand the front line. As you see, Kopani is located in the very center of this region. Normally, the Ukrainian army was attacking Kopani from the east. In this way, Kopani is under the fire from two fronts. I think that in the coming days, the Ukrainian army will get results from these intense attacks. If this happens, the Ukrainian army will have a chance to connect the two green areas you see on the map. A wider and undivided line of the defense, a greater danger for the Russian army. At the same time, a single line of attack. This can lead to wider advances. Another point is Verbov. As you know, the Ukrainian army has gained important positions in the direction of Verbov. From this time to time, there are short-term attacks by the Russian army against these positions. However, these attacks are usually repelled by the Ukrainian defense forces. Ukrainian defense in the region is strong, but Russian attack forces are weak. Therefore, Russian troops cannot repel Ukrainian soldiers in the region. However, the Russian army suffers many casualties during these attacks. Therefore, the effect of Russian attacks is decreasing day by day. At the moment, the biggest problem that the Ukrainian army is experiencing in recent conflicts in the region is minefields. There is a dense minefield between Ukrainian troops and Russian troops. This minefield prevents the Ukrainian troops from advancing. What is meant by obstructions in actually slowing down? Ukrainian troops continue to advance despite this obstruction. However, the process is slowing down. Therefore, the work of special units in minefields is of great importance. Let's talk about artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units targeted positions of the Ukrainian armed forces in Robotyne, Pyatykhatki, Lubkov, Malaya-Tokmakcha, and Novodanilovka direction. In turn, Ukrainian artillery units targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in the Kopani, Nestroyanka, Verbov, Novoprokopivka, Novopokrovka, and Ichenko areas. Looking at the Wuhldar sector of the Zaporizhia front line, we see that the unsuccessful offensive of the Russian army in the direction of Stromayorsk and Yorkhain continues. We have stated many times before that the Ukrainian defense lines in this area is very strong. Therefore, I don't think that the Russian troops will achieve any results from their attacks on this region and in a short period of time. Russian troops have a heavy pressure on the Ukrainian army in Novodonetsk direction. However, this heavy pressure does not yield any results. Ukrainian troops are standing firmly in their positions. Russian troops are retreating with heavy losses after each attack. Let us continue with the attacks of the artillery units in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery targeted Ukrainian positions in the directions of Stromayersk, Yorkhain, Novodarivka, Revnopol, and Makarivka. On the other hand, the Ukrainian artillery units targeted Russian positions in the direction of Zabitny Bezhania, Novodonetsk, Novomyrosk, Starmylinka, and Priyotny. We continue by analyzing the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. As you know, the Russian army continues its attacks on the Donetsk front line. Many Ukrainian soldiers are making an intense effort to repel Russian attacks. When we look at it, there is an advance of the Russian troops in some parts of the front line. However, I would like to point out again and again that the progress is quite small compared to the size of the attacks. Russian sources often boast of the size of the attacks. However, the small progress despite the size of the attack shows that the Russian sources are conducting a simple propaganda. According to the latest reports, units of the Russian armed forces continued their traditional offensive in the direction of Marinka. These attacks were repulsed by the Ukrainian artillery units, especially with an intense struggle. A large number of Russian troops and Russian armored vehicles were destroyed during these attacks. Russian troops also continued their offensive in Premayolsko and Saryony and the southern approaches to Avdiivka and Stepnoy. However, there are no results from these attacks. According to sources in the region, communications with the front line is very limited. Russian shelling is fierce. However, according to these sources, the Ukrainian Defense forces are still very strong. Let's talk about artillery activity in the region. According to the latest report, Russian artillery units targeted Ukrainian positions in New York, Avdiivka, and Pobieda. In contrast, Ukrainian artillery struck Krasnohorivka, Opytny, and Donetsk. On the Bakhmut front line, Russian troops are still insisting on the south of Bakhmut. Russian forces are trying to seize the initiative. Having launched counterattacks into Avdiivka and Klishchivka, Russian troops unsuccessfully retreated. We also see offensive actions taking place near Khoromovoy and Orekhiy-Vasilivka. However, the Russian army is unable to achieve results. There is also a small movement in the Luhansk direction. According to the latest reports, in the Luhansk direction, the Russian armed forces attacked Makayivka and Nejazhda, Ivankovka and Petrovka, and Sinkovka. During these attacks, the Ukrainian Defense forces were quite successful. The Russian army stopped the attacks and retreated. So, what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to advance on the Zaporizhia front line? What do you think about the latest situation on the Donetsk front line? What will be the insistence of the Russian troops on the Bakhmut coasts? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.